Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a quick little video. I'm going to answer some comments, respond to some questions. It's been a few weeks since I've done this and I figured let's just sit down and chat for a little bit. So let's get into the video. If you're unfamiliar with these videos are, every few weeks I like to go through some older comments from the past few weeks and just respond to some comments. I've been feeling a little under the weather, so I've been really bad about responding to comments. So I definitely wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. I don't think any of these are particularly on the spicy side, but if perchance I do get into any spicy commentary, do know that my views are only a reflection on myself. I don't speak for anybody else in the fragrance community. Also, if I reference any videos in my video, so if I say, hey, I talked about this, I will link all those videos below. Also, if I'm like babbling or talking weird, I have gotten no sleep and I've only had 3 cups of coffee today. I'm like partially caffeinated. Normally I need to be fully caffeinated in order to be able to be semi-coherent. So you know what you're signing up for at this point. So the first comment is, and this might get a little spicy, I don't think so it'll get too spicy. So this comes from my green tea video, and this comes from Rack79, and their question is off-topic question, but I keep wondering why there is such a price difference between fragrance houses. Does expensive mean better, long-lasting? Can you explain? I did do a video kind of talking about this. And normally I'm not going to get into, they did mention specific brands, but they were just using an example. Let's say 2 corporate niche houses. Corporate niche houses, obviously we all know what corporate niche houses are. Let's say one corporate niche house is like $150 and another bottle from another company is like $500, but they're both 3.4 ounces. In a lot of cases, not all cases, you're paying more for the presentation and the prestige of buying the bottle than you are actually the fluid inside, especially when they are owned by the same conglomerate, because they should have the same access to the same resources to create the formula. But that is just me being an uneducated, unexperienced person who is speaking out of their bum. The reason why I say this is because at the end of the day, in most cases when you're thinking about, say, buying like $150 bottle of perfume, that maybe you get a nice box wrapped in nice cellophane, or you're spending like $350 to $500, you're getting a much nicer box. Maybe there's crystals on the bottle and the box itself is made of wood and it has like velvet inside. Obviously, the cost of the presentation costs more, but to be completely honest, as somebody who works like in creating like manufacturing and fulfillment, I've talked about my businesses before. We're not going to get too into it, but I do understand the pricing of all that stuff. It's not like an extra like $400, but what you are paying for is kind of the time and effort and prestige of that entire experience. Now, there's also the overhead, and I'm not going to be able to, depending on brand by brand by brand, fragrance by fragrance by fragrance, tell you that it's completely different because I don't know the cost of creating these scents. A lot of this stuff is obviously under a lock and key. It's corporate secrets, and I understand that. But generally, for the most part, you're paying more for the presentation and more for the exclusivity of being able to pay for the fragrance rather than it being worth more. That's my general opinion based off of my limited knowledge, that a cheap fragrance can easily smell like it costs a lot of money, can smell expensive, but an expensive fragrance should never smell cheap, which means that if you have an expensive fragrance, it shouldn't smell like something that you would want to scrub off or something that you would easily be able to find at like the dollar store or Five Below. And there are definitely some expensive fragrances out there. And when I'm talking about expensive, I'm talking about $200, $300, $400, $500, and you smell it and you're like, no, I can find this quite literally at, Walmart, at their body mist aisle, and it smells way better and performs way better. I'm going to spend the $15 on this body mist over here. But then there are some like $20 to $30 or even less bottles of perfume that smell way better. So I have this thing where expensive does not mean better, but expensive should always perform very well, and it should always smell good, or at least smell like it's made of quality ingredients. This next comment comes on an old video where I was reviewing the La Rive fragrances, and I'm going to talk about something after I mentioned this comment. This is from Moana 1989 Productions. This was from a video probably like 5 years ago. You could have checked that they are a dupe of On Fragrantica. How can you review a dupe if you don't even know what they are supposed to be a dupe of? I was curious how close they were with what they were actually duping, not what you believe they were duping. I agree. So this is something that I've talked about before. Always hold me accountable. So when I first started doing a lot of these videos like a few years ago, I'm still not very good at what I do, but I was not very good a few years ago. It was even worse then. So I get a lot of comments on my older videos saying like, how could you? And I'm like, it's been like 6 years, but always don't ever feel bad. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is, first and foremost, I agree. I have learned to be better, not the best, and I still make a lot of mistakes, so please always hold me accountable. I've learned to be better at researching and not speaking out of my butt. And I think the last major mistake I did that I can really recall, like off the top of my head, was when I was talking about ranking my Armani Privé fragrances, and people on Suso, I said it was Japanese and not Chinese, and I don't know why I said it was Japanese, but it's Chinese obviously, and you guys were like, no, it's Chinese, and I'm like, of course, like why didn't I double check? Because I'm just oblivious and I can be an idiot. So again, I'm sorry, I'm gonna touch this. So again, always hold me accountable, and especially things like this, because that is a very valid criticism. The reason why I'm saying this is because some of you guys, I feel like are too nice. Sometimes you guys are like, oh no, like don't ever feel bad about telling me I'm wrong. Don't ever feel bad about being like, no, you're doing a bad job. Please don't ever feel bad about holding me accountable. I definitely agree with this comment. Now, the reason why I also wanted to mention this comment, because first and foremost, I completely agree with what they're saying. I agree that I should have done more research, but also when I was researching La Rive, it was really hard because I got sent a lot of bottles, and to kind of keep track of which one was a dupe for what, it was kind of overwhelming at the time. I do remember it being a bit of a pain in the butt, but that's still no excuse. One thing I'm going to kind of talk about, it's not going to be too long, but I'm putting my phone down, you know, I'm going to get a little bit, you know, spirit fingers when I do that. I don't plan on ever, I'm not going to sit here and say ever, like I'm 95% sure I am not ever going to review a dupe house again. I actually, when I did this, I decluttered all my La Rive fragrances and all of my dupe fragrances, except for like my Dua fragrances. And the reason why I didn't declutter my Dua fragrances was those are actually sent to me by a subscriber. I've never purchased them. I actually got most of them from a subscriber, and I don't like the idea of, like, for me, whenever you guys send me anything, I'm so touched. I don't really talk about what you guys send me. I've had people draw me pictures. I've had people send me really sweet letters. I like to keep everything that you guys send me. And so, like, I don't really talk about Dua. I think the only time I really talked about Dua was when I was talking about the Baccarat Rouge clones, and I really needed to talk about that because of an experience I had with Carlos. A good experience. You know, I miss Carlos, but we're not getting into that. But I think what I need to do is just not review clones on my channel. First and foremost, because of situations like that. I don't think I'm not an experienced person when it comes down to fragrance, and I'm not talking down about myself, I'm being realistic. I have a lot of fragrances. I have a lot of experience smelling fragrances, and I think I'm pretty good at discerning specific things, but when it comes down to reviewing dupes, let me give you a little tidbit into my life, a little inside thing. So one of my major jobs is I do art, I paint. One of the things I paint for fun is I do fan art and pop art. And a lot of times that can be considered to be kind of like ripping things off. I love to paint Muppets. It's like I love to paint Muppets. And I do it as warm-ups and things like that. And I painted a Muppet, and I find this Muppet everywhere. Everywhere. I find it being sold everywhere. I find my art name, my maiden name, not my legal name, but my maiden name I use for my art. I will find my maiden name or my art name being used to sell this. I found old pieces of mine that I posted places that I have never kind of really shared, being sold as fine art prints on some websites for like hundreds of dollars. I've had people take my art and turn it into pins and cups and mugs and flags, and people saying it's their art. And it's just, I find this stuff every day, every day. And it is too expensive for me to hire a lawyer to try and get this takedown done. It is disheartening. And I understand, like, I can understand like the fan art stuff, like, because I'm taking somebody else's property, and even though I'm completely reimagining it into a painting, like, I understand. But some of these very truly original pieces, like, I'm just disheartened because I spend forever. And this is how I make my money. This is how I make my money, is on those like art pieces. This is, you know, that's one of my ways that I make money, is royalties and commissions. And sometimes these paintings are commissions that people commission me, and then I find them being sold on Alibaba. like you can buy like 1,000 of these t-shirts for like $100 of this commission that I did for somebody. It's very disheartening. It's very disheartening. And it happens all the time, every day. And so, like, I understand the importance of like dupes for people. I do, because some of these fragrances are very expensive, some of these fragrances are very hard to find, and some of these fragrances are just like, some of the brands in and of themselves, people are like, new. Like, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to argue with dupes and clones. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm against dupes, I'm against clones. I think, though, personally, as I move forward with my channel and I do YouTube, and like I said before, I'm a YouTube hobbyist. I don't own a fragrance brand. I've worked on a few fragrances. I don't know if I'll ever own a fragrance brand. I've talked about that before. That's a completely different conversation, but currently, as of this time, I don't. So I'm not sitting here and I'm not talking about somebody that owns any formulas, has any invested interest in any fragrance brand or anything like that. But as somebody who loves fragrance and loves this industry, but also understands that it's very expensive, and sometimes, again, going back to the conversation where a lot of times the price point is jacked up almost just for the sake of saying that you paid that amount of money. It's hard to sit here and to argue with yes or no dupes. So I think what I'm going to do on my channel is I'm not going to review any more dupes. I don't think I have the good enough, I'm not good enough at explaining. I don't think I have the best experience to do it properly. And I think her comment is, like I said, completely valid. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with her comment. And like I've said to you guys before, don't ever feel bad about holding me accountable. What I mean by that is if you think I do something wrong, if you think I missaid something, if you think I'm being shilly or being incorrect or anything, you guys, I don't get a lot of stuff sent to my channel, but I do get a lot of perks of this channel. I do, and I've talked about how much money I make on this channel and things like that. I get a lot of perks and benefits of this channel, and I think that it's important to have a balance. So since there's a lot of good that comes to me with this channel, I don't think that I should ever think that I'm above criticism. Even though I'm a small channel, I'm not an influencer, I'm not somebody who sits here and pretends that I'm anybody of value in the community. But that doesn't mean that I don't make money from this channel. I don't make a lot of money at this channel. You know, I make like a few $100s a month. But that doesn't mean that I should pretend that everything I say is right and, you know, that I fart flowers. If you think that I do anything incorrect, if you think I should change anything, please don't ever feel bad about saying it. I put my face up here. I've had people tell me things that, again, you would be surprised, some of the things that are said to me. I didn't respond to an email once because I just don't respond to my emails. I check them once a week, and somebody told me to shove a bunch of perfume samples up my butt. So, I mean, like, I can take it. But, like, valid criticism, valid critique, all of this stuff, please don't ever feel bad about saying, no, that's wrong. or I think you're incorrect, or no, that is Chinese, not Japanese, or, you know, please be correct with your dupes if you're going to put out this information, if you're going to get free stuff, if you're going to sit here and make AdSense money, be correct with your information. That comment is completely valid. And I wanted to address that because I think it's always important for me to shine a light when I make mistakes, even if the mistakes were 5 years ago. But I also wanted to bring that comment to light because I think I just shouldn't review dupe passes anymore. And I think that it's important for me to do that. I don't think it's because I'm better than anybody else. I think as somebody who just genuinely wants to share perfumery, I don't think I need to review dupe houses. There's a lot of people out there who do review these dupe houses, who do review Dua, who do review Dossier, and I reviewed Dossier in the past, and I like the scents. Like, I don't have an issue with them. I wear them. I think they're great. But I don't know if I want to do it anymore because I don't think I'm good at it, and I think enough people are doing it, and I would much rather share other scents and other videos with you guys. So I think that's why I'm going to stop. And I think also because having experience with people ripping off my art, I feel, I mean, even some of these big houses, I mean, I know Chanel doesn't really feel it. I know Versace really doesn't feel it. But some of these are smaller niche houses, and they might feel it, you know, and I don't want to do that to them. And I don't want to set the precedent that I agree with that. I don't disagree with it, and I understand the necessity for more affordable options, especially when some of these houses are very expensive for, again, expensive price points. But I think for me personally, for a variety of different reasons, I'm not saying dupe houses are bad. I'm not saying clone houses are bad. I'm not saying don't buy clone houses. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm just not going to be reviewing them on my channel anymore. I haven't done it in a long time, and anytime I've been asked to review a variety of different houses, I think I've turned down about 10 or 15 offers the past year to review a variety of different places. I just don't have a desire to do it. But that doesn't mean that the houses are bad. I just think that my channel, I would prefer to focus more on other types of content. So I'm not sitting here saying clone and dupe houses are bad. I'm not sitting here and talking bad about any of the houses. I just think personally, I don't have the best experience and I can't articulate well enough to do a good job. And also I think I'd rather bring you guys other content. So there's that. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, but I think that there's other people out there that review these houses that do a much better. This comment comes from Sandro Lorignano, and if I mispronounce your name, I'm so sorry. I know I did. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at pronouncing anything. Like, I'm so sorry. But I really wanted to shine a light on your comment. And he says that cologne smells like vomit on my skin. And there's a reply underneath from Shannon Davidson. And the reply is wash it off ASAP. I've understood a lot of people don't like cologne. So I've talked about this before. First and foremost, like, I can understand. I actually like the way it smells on my skin because, and this is where I understand where this is coming from, like, blood orange is a great note. It's got a really concentrated, juicy orange juice smell. There we go, like juicy orange juice smell. It's warm and it's not sparkling. And then you've got black pepper. And on my skin, it balances really beautiful. However, black pepper on my skin, when it's not balanced correctly, it literally smells like poison. So Demeter, I love Demeter fragrances. Demeter black pepper, I was worried I was gonna get a chemical burn. It smelled like Raid. It smelled so bad. I have never had a more visceral, negative, just like, oh my gosh, get this the heck off of my skin. It smelled rancid. Like, I don't think it's quite smelled like vomit, but it smelled dang close to something you don't want on your skin. Now, if you have a black pepper note, black pepper can easily if not blended properly, I find it, from my experience on my skin, it's one of those troubling notes that pulls so bad when it is predominant in the forefront. In the back, it can kind of be totally fine, but when it is in the forefront, it has to be balanced correctly. And what I like about cologne is actually it's balanced really nicely on my skin. I wouldn't say that it's amazing, but it smells really nice. Like, it works. So I'm like, I've considered getting it because it's like the only black pepper that doesn't smell like I want to just, you know, cut off my arm at the elbow if I spray it on my wrist. However, knowing that black pepper makes me want to, again, like cut off my arm at the elbow when I spray it on my wrist, mixed with that juicy but not sparkling blood orange, I can see where it on some people would just smell like vomit. So I can see where people would have very real reactions with that fragrance. I myself don't have it, but I am not sitting here acting surprised, because for some reason black pepper is one of those notes on my skin where I have that, like, again, like I'm gonna chew my arm off, like real reactions. I don't normally, usually my skin is a fantastic canvas for fragrance. The two major notes that I have an issue with are tobacco. And tobacco, it's not that it smells bad. I smell like barbecue sauce. I smell like I just slathered myself in Sweet Baby Ray's, which some people might think is a positive. For me, not so much. And black pepper literally smells like I want to chew my arm off. Like, just no. So considering there is that predominant black pepper note with that blood orange, I could see where that would literally smell like just no. So I did want to end the video on that because I had a bunch of people saying it's just rancid. On me, not so much. I was actually surprised that it had the nice balance, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody who had a comment. If I didn't get to your question or comment, I'm so sorry. I'll try to see if I can go back into older comments from a few weeks or a few months ago and try to answer some of the older ones, but I did want to answer some of these today. So as always, guys, I hope you're all happy and healthy and have a great day, month, year, whatever, and I will see you next time. Bye.